Hello, today I have a little fun project because this was more a result of having an argument with a friend about stocks. So it's a classic question. So what do you do if you win $1 million or euros or whatever? And then I would invest it. Sure, okay. How would you actually do that? So at some point we got to the topic of let's actually just write a bot and do this automatically. It can't be that hard, can it? It's pretty simple. You just have an stock that you want to watch, and you update the value as quick as you can, and the bot takes it in, makes decisions, and from that deducts a trade. If it wants to sell something or buy something. So first off, here's a result. I have two bots. It's the same bot, but it has two strategies. This one is, let's say, the pessimistic one. It's waiting for a fall, and this one is it's a optimistic one that waits for a raise. So what is the idea here? Actually, this is animated. I like that. This comes with a chart, ng charts 2 library, so that helps a lot. So let's take an example chart, and you could say if for, let's say, 10 steps or so the value of the stock is rising, then we buy something and then hope that it continues rising, for example, as an idea. Assuming that, it's going up, it will continue going up. That's the optimistic version. And the other one is like, it went down for quite a while. At some point it has to go up because now it's cheaper and people want to buy it. So let's wait until it falls, and first time it goes up, then we buy and hope that it goes up. And that's what these two bots actually do. I cannot actually show them in the same diagram because they are so far apart. And obviously they are not trading real money. It's just an imaginary budget I gave it at the start, like 1,000 euros here. And then say, okay, do your strategy and let's see how you do over time. And that's what you see here. The combined value of what it has in cash and what it has in stocks is shown here, and then I can see over time how it does. This is 1 day and one stock, and the same bots on another stock could behave totally different. This is Siemens, I think, and so you can even test how it works on different stocks. So let's say I call these bot pools per stock. So every stock gets a pool of bots that I write a new bot to test out a new strategy. I throw it into the pool for every stock and just see how it does. This is like a little competition with my friend because the idea is, okay, let's write bots and let's see who loses money at last. So the first assumption is, stocks is already, there are high trading bots, there are people that know more than we do. So we assume they will lose the money over some times, and the winner is who loses last. On the other side, it could happen that it actually goes up all the time reliably. So you got something solid there, and then you just connect it to a real trading platform and see how it does in the real world. Give it some money and let's go. So because there's always the argument, you could do this strategy or that strategy. So this is like a simulator that where I can test this idea out. I don't have to, let's say, in my head imagine what would happen if I apply this to a stock. I can just test it out and see how it does after a week or a day or whatever. So how does this work? Obviously I get signals from real data. The real stock data is coming from a real stock market. Oh, come on, show up. And it takes it every 5 seconds. At least it should. Okay, so in my case I take this from the Sparkasse S-Broker website. Let's see if I find the URL quickly. So the idea is you have some input of where you get the stock values. You can replace this later however you want. In my case, I just open this URL with my ID of the stock that I get from the website, just browsing it. And then I get a website for it, and from that it reads the actual value of that stock. This could be shut down in the future if they don't like it, who knows. This was just a simple idea I had that actually worked. And there's also an XML to actually define two stocks. So in this case, these are their IDs that you get from the website, and obviously we cannot trade if the stock market is not open. So we have to know when the bots are actually allowed to do anything to simulate behavior, because otherwise the stock value just isn't changing. So we have the open hour, the open minute, the close hour and the close minute for a given day, and then for the whole week, which days of the week are used. Funnily, it doesn't start with Monday, it starts with Sunday for some reason, but that's how dates are saved in C#. Anyway, so let me introduce the main program that is pretty short. We initialize everything, load configs and whatever start value we want to give the bots. Then we just have a big loop, and that's just get a new value, let every bot does its magic, and then save everything to a file so we can display it nicely in a website. Yeah, I mean, the stocks are read from the stocks XML. The bots get just started with a balance of 1,000. Sometimes, because if you write a bot, you could potentially want to save data like a database or some config or whatever. So I give every bot a working dir where they could save and store data, but right now I'm not using that. And yeah, then we just get the value every day, every update, given we are in the right time to actually that it's open. The actual updating the bots is also not that complicated. First off, we go through every pool, so through every stock in our list. We check if we are in the right time to actually execute trades. Then for every bot we have in that pool, how that is defined we see later, we just save the old balance and how much stock it has of that stock. Then we just let it update and do some trade decisions. And just because you can have bad code or whatever, we just, so it doesn't overwrite its own balance and stock values, we just reset them, and then we actually execute or try to execute trade decisions, or selling or buying. And this can fail. For example, it tries to buy 1 million stocks but has no money for it, so this won't happen then. Or this is like a sanity check. And saving all of this works by saving this all into an XML file for each stock. Waiting, try a trade, yeah, so that's the main program. That's the, let's say, simulator that simulates the trading itself. And obviously we need some bots for this that can do something here. So where do these come from? So pool, this comes from the init bots. Pools contain stock ID. Yeah, I have this up earlier. So I just for the pools, for every stock I create a pool of bots, and in here I just instantiate one of my bots. It's easy to expand. Just add a new bot here, and you will see this as well in the graph. Then would be just another line that you can select up here. Okay, and how does that work? I defined just a simple bot interface that what is defined for every bot. So it has to have a name, it has some money, it has some amount of stock, and for working reasons there's a working directory name that they would like, and the full path which it will be later, because the output for that folders can be defined in the config file. And then there's an init function where it should, for example, set its own name and stuff like that, and only has to implement the update function, which actually does the trading. So here's an example bot. It's very the minimalistic version you could do. It has its own name, it has its own working directory name, and on update it just tries to buy the stock. So the trade decision is to buy something, the stock we have here, and that much of it, and it does it until it runs out of money. So this isn't very useful because it never sells, but just to explain the interface. Obviously I implemented my two bots that I explained earlier. I could go through the how this is set and defined, but just quickly, it has a state machine. It's either waiting for a good time to buy something, or it's holding when it actually bought something and hope that it goes up. And in between it's just some simple math to figure out if it should buy something or not. Basically, depending on the variation that oh yeah, by the way, this constructor function takes a number in, and I use this to decide which variant of decision it takes. This is my way of doing this. So the two variants are essentially waiting for a raise, waiting for a fall. That's what I said before. First off, it counts the steps. So every time this is updated is 5 seconds. So let's say it waits for 10 steps, and then checks if it summed up if the stock went up and down for each tick, and summed up how much it went up and how much it went down. And if it went more up than down, then it's rising, and vice versa. And then it tries to buy a specific amount. Buy value, last price. Buy value, where's buy value coming in? Buy value is how much of my balance I want to invest, and that is just set to, I think, 10% or something, 20%. So every time you want to buy something, take 20% of whatever money you got right now. Yeah, and stuff like this. You can just implement whatever here. You could make a search to Google and see if the news about the stock are currently positive or negative. You could, I don't know, have any other inputs that you want to implement here, and so it's pretty simple to implement a new bot. Just whatever you can say, write down like in a human form to say, yeah, first you wait, then you check if there's if it was raising, then you buy it, then you wait a little bit more and hope it goes up, and in worst case you stop at a specific trade loss. This is something I can explain a human that could do it on a PC, but it's also easy to write down in a little bit of code and then just see how it goes. And let's just start everything. Also, this is called tickerbots because I'm bad at naming. So initially this was called tickerbot. And as you see right now, nothing has happened because the stock market isn't open. So right now it's just waiting, finds out can't do trades right now, and continues. But it still makes files and folders. Why is this the bug folder here? Okay, never mind. That's the bots. Sorry, actual simulator is here. Release. And yeah, there's a config file here that I didn't mention earlier. It just has one config in it, and it says defines the test path. We will use this later because we have to put it in a specific folder in the front end, so it comes up when you see it in the browser. For now it's just test. And so yes, it created a folder called test. Here we have the working directories for each pool, for each bot. There's nothing in it because we don't need this. And we have the history for each stock and whatever happened there. This looks like this. So we have the time, the stock ID and value, and then whatever each bot had as value totally, which is the balance it has, how much stock it has, and then the total value it is together. That's the value we want to display later. Okay, so to test everything, there is history example included here to display something that I created. So yeah, I can just build everything. Should go fine. Okay, great. And let's close this. Let's say we just wrote our bot, we compiled everything. There's included a build new bot. Let's delete this. And what this does is it's creating a new deployment that you could put on a server, for example. It just copies all the files out that we need. In this case, the simulator will get the bot stuff and the configs that we defined earlier. And if I run this now, it does the stuff we defined before and creates this test folder. Now let's actually put some data in here. Or actually, we don't need this here, we need this later in the front end. So let's talk about the front end. This is an Angular project, and you open this with, for example, Visual Code. You will need Node.js and npm installed on your PC. And the first time you open this, there is a Node package folder missing, because they are just public packages and I didn't put it in a zip because it would result in a few hundred megabytes of files. So instead all you have to do is to open a terminal and then npm run install, which then just npm install. Always confusing with running a script and running a command. Oh yeah, okay, good. So this should then download everything and create this folder, node modules, and populate it with all the references and dependencies. Because, for example, the graph library here has a lot of further dependencies that are needed for this project. So npm just downloads the needed versions and puts them in place so we can build the front end and test it. So this will take a while and I will take a cut here so you don't have to wait. And here we are again. It downloaded everything and added it to the project. So now this folder is how big? $200 MB. Okay, that's fine. Now you could explain all the front end here, but usually nobody wants to edit this. Roughly what happens here is that first it gets all the stocks, so it knows how many pools, how many charts to create, and then for each of them actually creates a history chart and loading the XML from the history for the current date. So if you remember the example files, these are formatted by the current date, and that's to fit them better by the front-end code. Okay, hard to explain and look up at the same time. We could, for example, right now test this. There's a launch configuration. Just have to press play. If it's not running, you probably have to install ng and ngserve but that's a separate topic. So, and right now we don't see anything because we do not see this file. For testing this on the front end, if you want to edit this, you would have to add this to the project. So let's take the example files, for example. History, copy. And there is a folder here called public. And we have to put this, so it's available. We also need the stocks XML, so it knows which stocks there actually are. Come on. Okay, let's stop this. Try again. Forgot to actually adapt the date. It wants 14. Okay, let's try that again. Why is it? History. Why is it 10? Did I really wrote 10? It didn't update it yet. That's weird. Okay, Visual Code, let's restart. Of course not. Why should it work? Okay, I have no idea how this came to be, but we can as well change it here. Okay, happy now? And we have data that we can display, and we can switch between the different things we want to display, how much stock it holds, and so on. That works, displays everything, great. Now how to actually deploy this, because you cannot run Visual Code every time you want to run the front end. So let's close this and let's run another special command. Close this, see if I get this right on the first try. Run build. Yes, that worked. Now we should get a dist folder. Where it generates actual website files. And now we can delete this again and use a build new one, .bat file. So a simulator, that is great, and our front end, also great. For some reason it did not copy these files. But that is fine because I actually want that. Interesting. Okay, never mind then. Now first let's start the simulator and make it output to the front end. So that would be this as the base folder. And here in the config, just set this. Okay, let's close that. And run it. Okay, this should create the folders there. Great, nice. So if trading was open, I would just let this run, and now we could host the front end. But we will not see any data right now because it's closed. Everything is here, but it's not writing any history yet. So let's copy our example files from the public folder. So now we do have files. And let's run this, let's host this without Visual Studio. And I have too many windows open. So you could make a bat file for this. Or let's just run it as a command. So I'm not sure if this is already installed on this machine. HTTP. Okay, that worked. Okay, so now we have a little HTTP server. So we want to tell it what the base folder is. Right now we are in the results folder. We want to go to the front end. So we open that, and now we can go there. New tab. Et voila, there's our data. So this can be hosted on a server somewhere, so you can watch it during the week, how your bots do. This can just continue running. If you restart it every day, bots will restart with €1,000. But if you just let it run, you can see that it will go up over time. It just remembers what it had the day before, and then just continues there. And if you want to have a copy of all of this, just talk to my Patreon bot. Write him get stock bots, and you get a fresh copy. Ta-da! So yeah, have fun. I have it also hosted on my server, so I can watch daily how my bots do, and have fun trying out all your trading ideas. Have a nice day. Bye.